Hello, very good morning to all of you. Today we are starting the first session of Principles of Management under the Bachelor of General Management degree. So the Principles of Management, this is a very important subject. The reason is this actually lays the foundation for studying all other subjects, and it is the core of the degree. So learning this subject is very much important. So under this online webinar or web-based lecture session, there are 20 hours dedicated, but the 20 hours is not enough to cover the whole degree content. I myself is doing 15 hours and my colleague, Ms. Vimansha, is doing the 5 hours. What we are trying to do is, through these webinar sessions, we are discussing the most important subject areas, and we are trying to cover as many components as possible in the syllabus. Now, principles of management, we can mainly identify 3 components. One is introduction, and the second part is the context of management, and the third part is management process. Learning all 3 components are very much important. Therefore, we will start the session from the very beginning of understanding what management is. Now, this lesson basically, as a first lesson, there is a talk through a picture. We are trying to understand the nature of management, scope of management, and also what really happens in the field. That is, under contemporary changes in management. Let's begin the picture story. There is a reason for starting this through a picture, because many people learn management as just a subject. But what is their subject really is? Now look at this picture. Now you can see a very beautiful picture. A trees captured during a winter season. And this nature is happening due to many reasons. And nature always tries to have a balance. There may be some unusual happenings, things, but all those are reactions to make a balance. So, for human being, we like to see these pictures. And on the other hand, you can see in the different part of the world, there are a lot of scenic grandeurs, and people enjoy this natural beauty, and people like this, watching, enjoying the nature part. This is what we expect. This is the balance we see. So we have learned about how nature creates balance, have balance. Through our basic science. But my question, what about this? As people, we don't like this. And this condition of nature is a result of imbalance, circumstances, happenings, occurrings, challenges. And people suffer. Now I have a question. Why people suffer? And why these things are happening? And you can see in the world, the poverty is a bigger theme. And today Sri Lanka is having a turbulent time and our poverty level has gone up. There are families, children without having anything to eat. Again, I'm asking this question, why this happens? It is acceptable. It is a part of our nature. You see how children across the world, even in developed countries, sometimes they're searching foods and things in the garbage. I'm sure this happens in Sri Lanka also. Flooding. Why is this? It is part of the nature. Or is it a reaction of nature to balance what happens? Or else, has these things caused by someone else? People don't like this. This is something people have to avoid. And we also get this sort of challenges, problems time to time. And you see you can remember what damage was done by tsunami within 20 minutes time. Over 40,000 people washed away. So is this normal? It is a part of balance or the balancing process of nature. Or has someone created this? Now we have to ask a question, why these people are there? When a tidal wave comes, why people could not take their precautionary actions? When this tsunami happened, especially in Sri Lanka, people try to watch why sea went away and they try to mark their new lands area. And they played on the new beaches created as a result of the seas shrinking. Another part, the sorrow, sadness, as a result of some sadness, maybe flooding, maybe tsunami, maybe riots, commotions. Now, are these part of the nature? Are these things are created by the nature? And we suffered and went through a terrible war experience of 30 years. We cannot forget about it. Who created this war? Is it a part of the nature or the nature's balancing process? Why these things are happening? And you can see, very recently we had this terrible occasion of massacre, Easter attack. And we realized this was something that was preventable and ignored by many parties from top to bottom. And now you can understand or realize what I'm trying to say. There are things that happens because of the nature actions. Those sometimes release good results for people or bad results. But some actions are created by people. Still, those actions release good results and also bad results. You can see the corona situation. Corona, we don't know whether it is a man-created thing or a nature reaction, or it's a part of nature. We don't know exactly, but there are some scientific opinions, investigations. But how do we respond, or how did we respond to this situation? And we also lost around 15,000, if I'm not mistaken, people, and how we reacted. And these are some hows that created in the media and in the societies. Now my question is this the right reaction? Especially the Dhammika Paniya. How people reacted to that, how people created a messy situations, right? And the problem with the nature in near Pamanugama area, Colombo, China area, you see the beaches were totally polluted because of some problems created by a sinking ship after it was getting fired. Our question is it a part of a nature or man-made action? Why this happened? And there's a lot of issues, problems you see every day. We can see when we listen to news, all negative stories. Now I'm asking one question, why these all negative results happen? And people like positive results, like enjoying the nature part, enjoying and benefiting the results of balanced nature, everything. But at the same time, there are negative results that people don't like and that harm people. Some are created as a result of nature actions, like tsunami. Some are created as a result of people behavior. But why these negative things happens? If it is positive, yes, people like it. So people try to make effort to enjoy positives, to have positives, to experience positives that people like, that we have to strive for. But as individuals, as families, as societies, as countries, and as a people who are living on this earth, We have to always try to avoid negatives or the bad results. So this is the human reaction in dealing with the nature, enjoying the positives and neutralizing the negatives, not only for today, but also for the future. That's why we're talking about sustainability. Rather defining the management, it's easy to define mismanagement. How? The question is, why these positives are not coming, but why these negatives are happening? Simple question is mismanagement. People like this balanced nature. That's good. So we want to create this balanced nature, preserving environment, having a good lifestyle, good earning, and then striving for enjoying the good nature part. That is what we aspire to do. But if I ask a question, why people 40,000 lives washed away to the sea? It's mismanagement. Why the wars, calamities, riots are created? Mismanagement. The good example is the Aragalaya. Why Aragalaya was there? Mismanagement. Why poverty, killing, massacres? Mismanagement. So simply, management and mismanagement can be identified in a very simple manner. Avoiding negatives is management. So a proactive response to avoid unexpected negative impacts and to achieve expected positive impacts is the management. If we are not in a position to proactively respond to avoid unexpected negatives like tsunami, flooding, riots, killing, massacre, and to achieve expected positive impacts like enjoyable life, if you're not achieving the goodies and if you're not avoiding the baddies, negatives, that is mismanagement. But if you're trying to avoid unexpected negative things and achieve expected good things, that is management. So rather going for definitions of management, we understood what management is. Management is not, that is not belongs to nature. It belongs to people world. When people try to deal with the environment, when people try to define the things that happens around people, and then people have to think how to create the positive impact to people and to the rest of the creatures and for the future, and how to avoid negative impacts individually for people, and how to avoid negatives happening for the future and for the rest of the creatures. People cannot think about only people. They have to think about holistically the whole network's environment today and also for tomorrow. So now you have a very clear idea about is what management. There are critical words here, a proactive response. So management, you have to basically you have to do before something happens to avoid negatives and to achieve expected results. A proactive response means that people have to create something, do something, that we identify reactions in management. And for what? To avoid negatives and to have positives. In this way, the management is every individual's action, every family, every community, organizations, other institutes, country, and the globe as a whole. We have to do this. So there are different levels of management: individual level, family level, community level, country level, regional level, and the global level, organizational level as well. So it's broader concept. But what we are trying to understand here is not to talk about how people react, avoiding negatives in the environment individually or as a country. But what we are trying to understand, limiting the discussions to our scope, general management degree, we are trying to understand how people react to avoid negatives and to have positives within organizations, corporates, firms, right? Now you can see many definitions of management created. There are many definitions of management. In this website, from 80s, 70s, 1950s, there are different scholars. They have defined management. A management is a distinct process consisting of planning, organizing, equating, and controlling, utilizing in each both science and art, and followed in order to accomplish predetermined objectives. Now you see the predetermined objective, that is the positives that we want to have, right? Neutralizing the negatives. And it is a proactive response. Under the response, the response is equalized to a process that consists of few practices. And the second definition, management is the art of getting things done through others and with formally organized groups. So you have to get things done through others because to achieve good goodies or positive results and to avoid negative results. So that response is an art. That is how that author defines HRM. And Peter Drucker gives a definition. Management may be defined as a process by means of which the purpose and objectives of a particular human group are determined, clarified, and effectuated. Management is a multi-purpose organ that manage a business and manages workers at work. Drucker is complicating the situation, and it divine is a process. Again, highlighting to achieve positive outcomes and avoid negative outcomes. And at the same time, he talks about where management happens, that's in organizations, not only to manage employees, but also to manage business and manage managers. Likewise, you can see There are some other definitions of management. These all definitions are from well-respected, reputed scholars' point of view. So you can collect some more definitions. So collecting some more recent definitions, you can see management is about coordinating and overseeing the work activities of others so their activities are completed efficiently and effectively. All definitions goes with my main definition of a proactive response to achieve good things and neutralize bad things. Proactive response is here coordinating and overseeing. For what? To have the good results of efficiency and effectiveness. And you can go through the other definitions as well. But I will jump up to the last definition. Management is defined as a pursuit of organizational goals efficiently and effectively by integrating the work of people through planning, organizing, leading, and controlling the organization's resources. Now, when you identify the definitions, you see all definitions talks about why management is. As I mentioned, it is for eliminate negatives and have achieved goods or the good results, positives. What are the positives? Management is defined within the organizational context. The positives are achieving results in efficient and effective way. And the response people talks that includes planning, organizing, directing, controlling. So we can just conclude what management is for the subject and also uh, to operationalize what we are going to talk about under this subject. So the management is a deliberate process of planning, organizing, directing, and controlling people and resources to achieve organizational goals efficiently and effectively. So this big story I took to basically delineate the meaning of management, not as a definitions that consists of many words, but you should be able to understand the major components of management and have your own definitions. Now, in this definition, the most important thing is you have to identify what are the practices or processes that coming under that major response: planning, organizing, controlling, directing. That happens within organizations, corporate organizations or firms. For what? What are the positives? Those are the achieving organizational goals, but in efficient and effective manner. So management is a deliberate or created process of planning, organizing, directing and controlling people and resources to achieve organizational goals efficiently and effectively. That's all about management definition. Now, if someone asks what management is, rather just reading a definition, you should be able to make people feel what management is. That's very simple. Now, another important aspect of understanding management is to understand the evolution of management is very much important. Evolution of management. Now, the management definitions are actually coming with the industrialization that happens in the US and the Western Europe context. It doesn't mean the management started in the Western context since later 1980s. No. This overall understanding of the so-called response that try to achieve good results and uh, avoid negative results, that overall response existed from the very beginning of the evolution of the mankind on this earth. We go to ancestors' time, where people evolved from monkeys. Even in their society context also, they wanted to understand what the environment is, what good for them and what bad for them, and to go for good things and to avoid bad things. So the principles, the core basis of management, you see, that was there. Therefore, evolution of management starts from the very ancient time. It's not limited to industrialization period. But the thing is, you have to come up with some solid evidence of practicing management. There are some evidence from the very ancient time period and a lot of evidence in the recent time, especially during the industrialization, because that is the time within which period the management started as a subject of study. Now, when you look at management in the antiquity means the very ancient time. Now you see the pyramids, the gigantic pyramids. There was a belief that these pyramids were developed, constructed using slaves. But very recently, there is some evidence, and the world talked about it, that the pyramids were built not using the slaves, but by workers. And they say there are evidence that those kings or emperors who built this gigantic, these pyramids, they have paid for workers. So that is another story. Getting things done through slavery is different to getting things done by paying. So the art of management, what early believed is now questioned. How things have been done. So that is very interesting. And you see another, this is another, see the shape of these things and the size. There should be a very good planning, very good, excellent coordination, directing, and also controlling to build this sort of gigantic buildings. And when it comes to some snapshots, now see, scientists have amazed by looking at their technology and the constructions, everything. The important thing is most of these things are in desert area, and people actually succeeded in facing the challenges of an environmental component like deserts, surviving, living, and also constructing these things. So there should be a better management. And you see another example is Chinese parapet wall. It's really, again, one of the amazing places in the world. One of the wonders. The second wonder is like pyramids. So a lot of resources, a lot of coordinations, planning, directing, controlling, everything had been there. So this is not actually in the recent history. This happened the very ancient time. And our Sigiriya, it was one of the world wonders. And still, the scientists, engineers don't have answers for some explanations of how the water was carried on top of this rock, because there were some pools there, and how the ponds and the water flowering systems automatically worked. And it's a kind of a amazed architectural design for the rest of the world. So a huge part of management has been practiced here, had been practiced here. And again, the stupa, Dagab, in Sri Lanka and in India, right? This is also a unique construction that need huge sort of planning and organizing, controlling. So these are some good evidence that the management practices have been in existence even in the very ancient time, right? Now you see another examples from Sri Lankan context. So when you explain the management in antiquity, that's still people trying to understand what really happened and what sort of management practices had been in the good olden days. But there are a lot of evidence of starting evolving management as a subject after later part of 80s. Now you see, starting point of management as a subject, according to Western literature, that has happened in 1890. The starting point is scientific management theory. Now you have heard about sometimes F.W. Taylor. F.W. Taylor is actually management uh, uh, manager and a worker and the management scientist who tried to understand why people or workers' performance is declining, why efficiency is going down, and what to be done to enhance efficiency. As a result, the scientific management theory evolved. So we have to understand what was the contribution of scientific management theory to management. Who were the co-pioneering authors, contributors to develop scientific management theory? And then what really happened during the scientific management theory? So those three things we have to understand: contribution, contributors, and what happened. Scientific management theory philosophies are still, you can see, those are still in practice. And F.W. Taylor is identified as the father of management. Then, with the start of scientific management, another branch of management is administrative management theory. Scientific management theory main focus was to see how people's uh, efficiency, the hand efficiency is increased. That is individual level. But administrative management theorists wanted to understand how this administrative process should be designed, created. What sort of structure, what sort of controlling process, what sort of policies. It's about the context of people. Rather looking at people hand efficiency, they wanted to try to understand overall organizational efficiency that actually belongs to administrative parts. That is the role of administrative management theory. Max Weber, Henry Fayol are dominant parties. And it also started from early 90s. And there are still the practices of administrative management theory. We will see what they are and how they have evolved. And the next, after 1920s, behavioral management theory. First, we call human relations movement, and second, organizational behavior movements. So these two branches of behavioral management theory was very much important. That actually try to understand the people's behavior part. Or F.W. Taylor and the scientific management, they wanted to see how people hands can be efficient or individual worker level. Max Weber and Henry Fayol wanted to study the overall organizational process, context of management, how organizations can be made effective and efficient. And the behavioral management theory identified work with the behavioral component. They believe not only people's hand efficiency or organizational context, but the immediate informal social groups, relationship, and behaviors of others and people's thinking, those are the important area that actually plays as causes and moderators of efficiency and effectiveness. So behavioral management theory got a lot of insights from psychology into management. And after 1940s, 1950s, the management science theory. So this theory means actually the schools of thought. Some contributors work to create that overall efficiency and effectiveness, or to achieve the expected good results and avoid unexpected bad results by applying mathematics, statistics, management science, those things. Because, by this time, 1940, 1950s, the World War One and World War Two had been ended. There have a lot of learning from the World War in uh, achieving efficiency and effectiveness. They use a lot of scientific models, tools, mathematical formulas in the war operations. And the war operations, these practices came into management. And the management science took the leadership to get the knowledge from the learnings from the war field, and especially the main science streams, to organizations. That is what management scientists did. And then after 1950s, 60s, again, organizational environmental theory. So there was a movement we call contingency theory, system theory. They realized people can also affect administration is important, behavior, and also the systems, processes, formulas is also important. But the most important is to understand how organizations are viewed. Organizations, the organizational environment theories, or these schools of thought, or these contributors highlighted, you have to consider organization as a system of a bigger system. So organizations have environment. So the environment, through the environment, they connect to another higher system. Likewise, a lot of environmental components or pressures and imperatives are the main reasons for enhancing efficiency and effectiveness. So the organizational environment theories, they change the focus of management to outside, to look at environment. So this perspective actually today is in operation through strategic management, so application of system theory, a process theory, demand supply chain theory. These all started because they understood how organizations have been connected as systems to another systems, right? And within these systems and systems connectivity, how a one entity's environment is very much important for that particular organization's or entities' efficiency and effectiveness. Now you see, the evolution of management had happened different time period because it took knowledge from different domain. At the initial time, it was really practical focus how to enhance people's individual efficiency. That is scientific management theory. And the outcome was scientific management, right? There are four principles of scientific management we will learn. In simple way, the scientific management said you have to carefully select people, train, supervise people, and then you can get the output. Administrative management theories, they wanted to formalize the organization's context. They are the schools of management. They actually introduced the principles of management, 14 principles of management. Departmentalization, job designing, reporting styles, creating proper communication, scalar chain. Scalar chain means how the job positions are connected to each other from bottom to top. So administrative management looked into this with organizational within environment context. And the behavioral management theory took some insights from psychology to explain how people cognitive behavior and explicit behavior and informal their surroundings affect people performance, efficiency, and effectiveness. And the management science theory try to learn from mathematics, statistics, and other scientific systems and processes to make efficient the management practices. So likewise, the how to do efficient and effective transformation, how to make decisions about moving, establishing locations, right? That sort of decisions, a lot of decisions were taken because of the knowledge that they obtained from the war experiences. And organizational environment theory, um, they took the macro broader perspectives to management to look at how environment affect your overall operations. It's very interesting. So we have to learn about these schools of thoughts or these theories. If you understand this, how management evolved, what contributions, what were the processes, who were the contributors, and at the same time, if you learn why these sort of paradigm shifts happen in management during different time periods, that would be a very great understanding, because understanding the evolution of management will give you a lot of answers for many subjects. When you learn HR, why this happened, why this happens. One time we talk about performance evaluation, and today we talk about performance management and performance appraisal. For average people, these are some terms. But for the person who knows HR and management and everything, they know why evaluation. The word evaluation came how? Why this the word appraisal and how the management came? Evaluation, performance evaluation came during the scientific management theory because they wanted to look at only hands. And evaluation is about to see to which extent people have done things. The word appraisal came not to look at or judge people what they have not done, but to appreciate people based on what they have done. So, this perspective is a result of behavioral management theory after 1940s. So, that is the difference of appraisal and evaluation. Evaluation look at what has not been done. Under the appraisal that actually uh, created based on the behavioral management theory that talks about what people have done, two different perspectives. And the performance management that belongs and that is was initiated from the organizational environmental perspective or theories. So performance management look at the holistic overall organizations and how it has been connected to its environment and everything. And based on that, they say the performance is not people performance. Performance is a holistic effect of people, the structure, culture, the overall technology, and everything. So you have to look at organization holistically. So that actually performance management, this approach came after 1980s. So this is how the organization environment perspective uh, uh, affected performance management. Now you see, performance evaluation, appraisal, and performance management, three different things. Why they happen? Because of these happenings. So if you understand management very clearly, you can identify what really happens in HR and other fields and the reason behind that. Now I explain uh, evolution in a very brief way and also the importance of understanding and learning the evolution. Now there is a tutorial, but I'm sure we cannot mark your assignments, we cannot see your assignments, but what we can see is, or what we can do is, we can ask you to do this. If you want, you can interact with me through the LMS so that we can connect. Describe the evolution of management under given topic areas. Schools of thought, name, contributors, and the period of dominance. Right? Look at what is the schools of thought, the name. And then look at who are the contributors. And then look at what were the contributions of each schools of thought. And look at where it can be seen in today's context and come up with examples. Very importantly, each and every schools of thought of management started by criticizing the previous perspective. So look at the criticisms as well. You should do this assignment that is compulsory. You can do individually. A lot of everything is in, you can find it through the internet and from the textbooks. Answer these four questions. And there is a definite question for the exam also. Right? This is what you have to come through your self-study, or else if you get some help from other, maybe learning from other institutions or whatever, so then try to learn this. Because at least if you do this session I have to consume more than 9 hours. That's why I gave you overall instructions, guideline, and also asking you to do a self-study on this. Okay. So if you are trying to preparing it in a proper way, I would say it's maximum 30 pages. The font type, font size, heading, subheading should be numbered. There should be a first page. You know how to write first page. More guidelines will be given in due course. Now, if anyone is interested in working with this, I'm really happy to share some more guidelines. So you can connect through the LMS or you can use my email as well. And if you're trying to work with some other learning institutions, please try to ask them to give you this assignment and you have to compile this one. So only answering to exam questions only at the exams will not give you a better experience. So you have to have a kind of experience of doing writing and or doing these sort of tutorials, right? Assignments before you go for exams. If you do these things, you will get a lot of experience of reading, synthesizing, understanding, writing, being innovative and creative. Very much important. That's why I ask you to do this. Then we'll start the second talk. Now we understood what management is. And then I highlighted why management is also. That was indirect discussion. And the third point I highlighted was the evolution of management. A provided overview. And now we are trying to understand what features management has. Different authors in different textbooks, they have made attempt to explain the nature of management. And some says management is goal oriented. Yes. The goal is achieving good results and avoiding negative results. So in different levels, the good results can be further defined in organization that is efficient and effective goal achievement. So management is goal oriented. Management is a distinct activity. Yeah, it's a bigger activity because it's a response, right? Responding. So when you respond, you have to do something. So that's an activity. It's a bigger activity having series of activities. When you collect it as a series of activities, then it becomes a process. Because you have to do planning, you have to do organizing, you have to do directing, you have to do controlling. So it's a process. Process, what is the meaning of process? Process is collection of activities in a logical way. There are consequences and outcomes, or inputs and outputs. A series of inputs and outputs connected together. Then we call it as a process. And management is a social process. Why you say social process? We are not dealing with raw materials. We are not dealing with other physical resources. We are dealing with those things through people. That's why we consider management as a social process. Management as a social process. We do all these things through people. And one management guru explained management, defined management as a manage men tactfully. So manage plus men plus tactfully management. So important thing is you have to manage people, get the things done to people, get the things done through people. That's why it becomes social process. It is a system of authority, yes, because you have to have a very good reporting style, deciding who should do what. So from a proper flow of order and also giving the responsibility. So it's a system of authority. Management is needed at all levels. Sure, I explain it holistically from global level, country, society, organizational, family, and individual levels. Even in organizations at top worker level, supervisor level, executive, manager, top manager, owner level, all levels. Principles of management are dynamic. Simply, you can't do management in the same old way. Management is always changing. Why? That actually took from the last perspectives, organizational, environmental perspective. They say when the environment is always changing, the macro environment and also micro environment. So when the environment is changing, why not? You have to change your expectations, you have to change your process, response, everything. So it's dynamic. Group efforts. Yes, not only one person, it management collects, deals with all people within organization. So it's a group efforts. Intangible and coordination force. Look at this. If you ask a question, who is doing planning, who is doing controlling, who is doing directing, and who is doing organizing? Yes, people are doing. Why people are doing? If people think that they cannot do and they won't do, nothing will happen. So there is an intangible force, right? That is very much important. It is not physical, it is not only systematic, it is not materialistic. It is within people. There is intangible force that we have to understand. That is why management is a live subject and it becomes social. And it influences behavior. Exactly. From the very beginning of scientific management theory to organizational environment theory, the different schools of thoughts wanted to identify the reasons where managers and owners have to intervene in within organization because to change people behavior, because to influence people behavior. So that's very clear. So further explaining the nature of management, it involves work process, coordination of different elements, yes, means of accomplishing objectives, supervisory activities, multidisciplinary, harmonization of diversity. So these are some attributes, ingredients that management has. Universality. Universality means wherever you do planning, organizing, controlling, these things have to be done. Dynamism is changing with the change of the environment. Continuity, you have to continuously carry forward the management processes. Management as a class. So it's a discipline. You have to establish some sort of code of ethics, practices. So it's a kind of a class. So you have to train people. Once you train, now for an example, if you go to the road and you see what happens, there is no order. Everything happens the way they want. People are crossing the roads in different ways, different places. But what will happen if you just see that a primary school, a bunch of primary schools kids are crossing the road? There is a discipline, there is an order, there is a proper way, and you can very clearly see among the other people who are trying to cross the road, in their own way without any patterns, and you see a very regular discipline pattern of how these kid bunches are crossing the road. So that is class. So likewise, if there is a management, that discipline, orderliness, and purposeful happening is there. That is the meaning of explaining management as a class. Mixture of art and science. Yes, management has some scientific practices as well as artistic practices. It is not a science, it's both science and arts. Management as a profession. Yes, exactly. It's a profession. Profession means you have to do something with a priori obtained knowledge, skills, attitude through a rigorous, specified training and education, right? So these are the features of management. Now, how can you explain the importance of management? There is no one answer in explaining the importance of management. There are a lot of definitions, a lot of explanations. Optimum utilization of resources. Yes. Now you see what has happened to Sri Lanka. Now we don't have dollars. People don't have their jobs. Many people struggle without anything. Why? Sri Lanka could not utilize our own resources properly. So wherever management is at individual or family or organization or country level, you utilize your resources in optimal level. Expansion and diversification. Now, if you utilize your resources properly, that means you can grow up. You can grow. You can grow. So you can diversify, you can start. You do something today and you can go for another aspect because you achieve your goal by properly utilizing your resources. If you achieve your goal with the existing resources, then you can think about the next phase. Reduction of employers' absenteeism and turnover. It should be employees. Now, within organization, the critical problem is the people, retaining people. Now, if your management is failed, people will leave. Now, what happens to Sri Lanka? Most of the people, all ages, with experience, with education, and without experience and education, people are leaving the country because of the mismanagement of the country. That happens in the organization also. If there is a proper management, people will stay. Utilizes the benefit of science and technology. Yes, management is basically, it's not a gut feeling work. It's a scientific work. You have to use the existing knowledge and the scientific suggestions and use them to enhance performance. Management encourages initiative and innovation. Exactly. When you do planning, organizing, and direct people, when you direct people to take their own initiatives creatively and innovatively. So one of the biggest important purpose of management is encouraging innovation. So when you utilize resources, when you achieve goals, and when you do innovations, you can minimize wastage. Management is all about reducing negatives and achieving positives. So wastage is negative. As it is a group work, yes, management, help teamwork, proper teamwork, and it's a motivation for people. As I earlier mentioned, it's reduced labor turnover. Labor turnover means the rate of people leaving the organization. It can be reduced. And it enhances the efficiency and effectiveness of people and organizations. And ultimately, it enhances the quality of life of workers because it gives the clear jobs directions and people achieve goals. So they are getting right reward, motivation, instructions. So they feel worthy and better. So their quality of life goes up. Cordial industrial relations. Yes, if there is a proper management, so the whole industry will prosper. Corporate image. Now you see the companies and the countries that are doing a good management is having a very good image. Now always we talk about Singapore. Why? For good management. Promotes national development. Definitely. The management is a reaction that economists took, right? So the economists wanted to enhance, find solutions for basic four economic questions at national level. And then they realize you can't answer these questions unless otherwise you try to solve the problems at firm level, organizational level. Because in the Western world, where the economy is actually developed, the firms are the critical ingredients of the society and the nation. So they wanted to see how the economic problems are resolved at firm level, how the utilization happens at firm level. So the economic fundamentals was applied in at firm level. So, but they gave a different name. That name was the management. That name was the management. So they realized unless otherwise, the economic activities or the management at firm level is not properly operated, they cannot achieve national development. So if you have proper management, it's a part of economics, and that greatly help national development. So it helps society. Management is very much important for societal development. Now see, management is not for owners' wealth creation. It's basically is the mechanism of national development. And you can see it is proven when you look at what happened to Sri Lanka, mismanagement, and going bankruptcy. Now this is the management process, the overall management process. You see, we have to do planning, we have to do organizing, we have to do directing and controlling. And different textbooks may talk different processes. Earlier, the directing had been changed, demarcated to leading and staffing. But now we have integrated it to directing. So today, if you say what management is, it has four processes or four practices. Four processes of a bigger process of management: planning, organizing, directing, controlling. You have to do them continually in a cyclical manner. Now, the next part is basically to understand, to give an overview of those processes. Okay, so we first learn um, why management is, and we understood the management, the meaning of management, and we um, described the management definitions. And then we understood the evolution of management, the nature of management, its characteristics, and management process. Before that, we learned about importance of management. And now we are trying to do a kind of an overview of all processes. What is planning? Now, planning is the starting process, but you can't say there is a one starting point and ending point of management. But for the learning purpose, we say we start from planning. Yes, when you start an organization, you have to plan first. Planning is a process by which the organization or any particular part of it determines what is to be done. What is to be done? So you have to first plan what is to be done, where you want to go. Remember, it's about goal setting, objectives, At the goals and objectives, you have to decide another thing, how to go there, that we call strategies. So in the planning process, organizations develop their vision, develop their mission, develop their goals, and develop their strategies and objectives. So it involves basically forecasting. You have to forecast, you have to see the future first. Based on the current scenario, based on what really happens within organization and environment, you have to see what really happens in the future. Unless otherwise you forecast, you can't establish your goals. Once you forecast, once you see the picture of the future, and then you set up your goals. Determine what level you have to achieve. And then go for decision making. That's about how to go there. That's about talking about your strategies. So planning involves investigation, analysis, and forecasting. Planning involves determining what to be achieved, that is goals. Planning involves the deciding how to go there, that is about strategy setting. What is organizing? Now, once you have a bigger plan, where to go, how to go, within which context you have to go. Once you decide that, and then there should be a mechanism of what? Deciding what activities to be collected, how. Therefore, organizing is determining and noting activities needed to achieve the objectives of the undertaking. In order to go for particular a goal and to implement particular strategies and achieve objectives, what activities to be done, that you have to first decide. All activities from A to Z. Now, once you decide all activities, then you have to group them. Now, for an example, suppose that you are trying to make a paripu curry, dal curry. There's a starting process and ending process. First, you have to buy paripu and then wash and clean them, prepare them with that, and then cooking, and then preparing for eating. There are a cluster of activities from going to shopping to buy dal and eating. Within those two extremes, there are a lot of activities, but those activities can be clustered. Shopping, preparation, cooking, after cooking preparation, and eating. So you have to group them. Why you want to group? Otherwise, you can't control them. Otherwise, you can't see what really happens then. So organizing, first activity is deciding all activities of that organization process and then group them, taking the similar activities together. Grouping these and assign such groups of activities to managers. Because then you can ask, okay, you look after the efficiency and effectiveness of shopping and also preparation of dal curry, look after the cooking and look after cooking preparation. Right? So that is why grouping is important. Otherwise, you don't know if something goes wrong, you don't know what happened and where to go, what to find. And the third is ensuring effective delegation of authority to enable activities to be carried out. And first, you have to determine activities and group them and make sure these activities are properly coordinated, connected through right delegation of authority. Why you have to give authority? Because in order to do something, people should be given responsibility. To give responsibility, they have to be given some power, that is we call authority. So you have to give the overall authority. If you make a decision to cook dal curry, so you have the authority to do that because you are responsible for doing that. But you can delegate this authority to one person to go to shopping. So his responsibility is going shopping and buying quality dal. We can monitor it. And part of the bigger responsibility is given to the person who is preparing dal curry for cooking. So his responsibility is well prepare dal for cooking. Another part of my bigger responsibility can be given to another person, cooking. So that person responsible for better cooking. And the final part of my bigger responsibility can be given another person, okay, after cooking preparation. His responsibility is prepare the prepared cooked or cooked dal to offer to the customers. Now look at this. This is very much important. Providing coordination of authority relationship. You can't just give the responsibility to the person who go shopping, prepare cooking, and after preparing persons, you can't just give the responsibility and say, no, you have to connect them properly. The person who went shopping should hand over the quality dal to person who prepare. The person who prepare dal well should hand over that to a person who cook. The person who cook dal should give it to the person who prepare or offer that to customer. If the chain should be properly articulated, design, that is why the coordination is important. So organizing is determining activities, grouping them, delegating responsibilities, authorities for groups, and also preparing the coordination. Very much important. This is another problem in Sri Lanka. You see, one guy is coming, uh, uh, lay the carpets, a nice road, but next day, another guy is coming, cracking the road, and then lay some cables or whatever, or water line, and the road is not properly, again, restructured. And someone is again coming, right, and try to build a drain, and the water line is also damaged, and the road is also again damaged, and after another few months you get the old road again. Why this happens? Because there is no proper organizing. Directing is the third component of management, very much important. Directing arises out of organizing, being about ensuring that employees are appropriately engaged in working on activities to meet goals and plans. This is done through motivation and supervision. Remember, you can plan, you can organize, but what will happen? No one is taking energy or efforts to do that. So you recruited people, you plan what to do, and you created groups with authorities, and you are waiting and see nothing is happening. Why? No one is activating. Remember, the liveliness of management is given through the directing. Otherwise, it becomes just you are working with lifeless things. So there should be energy part. For an example, you can fix a TV, a nice whatever satellite, everything, fix it, and you're just waiting. What happens? Nothing will happen if unless otherwise you provide the energy. You have to switch on and give the power, and then only the TV start working. Likewise, you can fix everything everywhere nicely, but there should be a mechanism of giving power. The power to management is given through directing. So you ask people to do something, and people are doing it, people are activating. So directing is a bigger, very important component, and directing is the core in management, and directing is the birthplace of human resource management. Or else human resource management is in management under the label of directing. Because directing should identify people's differences. And then second, directing should communicate properly, convince people what to do and how to do, why to do, so that people can be made ready. Third, directing should give the right leadership for people to go to action. Fourth, directing should motivate properly people using financial and non-financial rewards so that people are moving forward. So the four processes should be there under directing. What is that? Identifying people diversity, communication, leadership, and then uh, motivation is very much important. Unless otherwise you do these things, nothing will happen. Why private and public sector demarcation? You see the private sector, public sector, the same organization, industry, same product or process. But in some context, people are actively engaged and doing a lot of things and they prosper. But in some context, people just come and go, nothing is happening. Why? There is no proper understanding of people, there is no proper communication, no proper leadership, and there is no proper motivation. Therefore, people are not doing anything. So it's a problem of directing. And the next major part is controlling. So you plan, you organize, you directed. You showed where to go, and you gave the task, and you provided the energy. But make sure it's not like riding a bull. When you ride a bull, there is no proper way of running by that bull. Bull can lead you anywhere it leads and it wants. But controlling is very much important. Controlling is a mechanism that you time to time stop and see, hey, wait, are we going in the right direction? Are we leading to our planning, our objective? Are we leading by implementing the strategies we set? If yes, okay, we'll move forward. If no, wait, we have to take some precautionary actions. We have to take some corrective actions. We have to do something. And then you do, avoid derailment, and then you put your vehicle into right track, again, start your journey. That is why controlling is important, right? Controlling is the process of monitoring and regulating performance to ensure that it conforms to the plans and goals of the organizations. The simple process of controlling is you have to make sure whether you do everything as you intended, as you planned. It has continuous monitoring, follow-up process, feedback process, and also taking appropriate actions, corrective actions, if you are deviating from the intended path. So this is how I basically talks about introduction of management. What I did was I explained what management is in a very sensible manner, and then showed you the definitions of management. And then we understood the evolution of management, and you were given a tutorial to do individually for self-learning. We understood the attributes and nature of management, importance of management, and very clearly understood the overall process of management. So we achieved our target, the first target. Thank you very much.